Hello everybody and welcome to another one of our leadership training videos. Now by now you know that in these leadership training videos I share with you my insights, knowledge and experience that have taken me on my own journey and career within the leadership space. So I give you some insights and knowledge, once again based on my own journey, my own successful journey, what the leadership traits are that you might need, what leadership skills you need, what leadership abilities you need to become a more effective leader, a more integrated leader, a more compassionate leader, a more understanding leader, a more successful leader. But don't worry, if it's not for you in terms of leadership, it's okay. If you're an entrepreneur and you run your own business, or you're a family member, head of the family, or you have siblings, this can be used in life as well. So although it's more around leadership, it's about how it can support you as an individual in your own journey. So do not fear. Just stay with me and I'll share some insights and thoughts for you that I hope will be encouraging for you on your own journey. So my name is Chris Igwe. I have over 35 years experience leading, training and developing teams across 5 major markets in Europe and more specifically across Europe, Middle East and Africa. Feel free to like, comment and share, engage with me, conversation, and of course subscribe to the channel so you know when other videos are becoming available and you can look back on the previous ones if you've missed any. So we're going to start off today with what I think, for me anyway, is one of the most exciting areas in business, and it is negotiation. Negotiation, you might say, well, it's not for me. You might say, I don't enjoy negotiating, I don't want to negotiate, I'm scared of negotiating. All of these are totally okay. Just stay with me until the very end and I'll share with you the ways in which you can address that and become even better at what you do. Negotiation I love because it's very tangible. You can see where you started and where you got to. And you can see the process of how you got there because the process is just as important as the negotiation itself. Now, in my view, there are 2 aspects and 2 ways to approach negotiation. The first is you negotiate to win. To win as in conclude a deal, conclude a contract, conclude your own contract perhaps with a new employer, or you conclude a contract with somebody else who's coming into your business, or it could be you win a big project. Maybe you get funding or financing. You negotiate with a party or parties. It is static in the sense that it happens possibly or probably as a one-off. Okay, it may be you have that negotiation, it's done, it's finished. But then you can also negotiate to progress on 2 levels. Progressing for you as an individual, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a person. But it could also be that that negotiation that you're doing is a progressive one. In other words, getting the contract or being identified as the one who's going to be given the contract by another party is the beginning. Then you have to negotiate all the other pieces of it so you get to the end. So there's a kind of static one, and then there's a progressive one, which is a continual process. But I like to think of continual in the sense of you as an individual continuing to grow. Now, when you approach negotiation, these are for me the main things to consider. There are others, and other people may say these are not the ones you'd start with. Totally okay. At the end, I'll explain to you where all this comes from. You want to determine what is the outcome that you want. What is it that you want to achieve for the negotiation to be successful? And to be successful for both parties. Because a negotiation where both parties are successful in the long term, especially that continual progressive one, is way more important than where you negotiate to sort of kill the other person, as it were. You define what the time frame is, the time frame by which you want it to happen, or indeed the time frame within which, so the steps to allow you to get to where you want to. You identify what the arguments are, so what's your position, what are the pros and the cons, the risks, the opportunities. You look at all those within the arguments. And then here, which is really important, is the framing. The framing can be either the physical context of where are you going to be negotiating. If it's via Zoom or the telephone, that's one medium. It could be physically together in a room. How does that look? How does that feel? Whether you're traveling to them or they're coming to you. But beyond the physical framing, it's what is in your head. How are you positioning this in terms of your desire to win and be successful? So there's a whole mental journey that you need to go through, an emotional journey as well, because there's a lot of emotion wrapped up in all of this. And the question is then, what are the outcomes that you are expecting? How are you planning to frame it? And of course, what's the strategy that you're looking at or looking for? So how are you going to implement your negotiation? What are the steps? Now, the one thing to consider in all of this is it's very much about you and your process and your attitude. Now, I learned negotiation on the one hand in a very clear way. So when, for example, when I was asking my future father-in-law to marry his daughter, he said to me that I would have to wait 2 years to be engaged. 2 years. Not even to get married, but to get engaged. For me, this was unacceptable and there was no way I was going to accept it. We negotiated for about 45 minutes and I got him from 2 years to 4 weeks to 1 month. Now that was a huge achievement and very successful. But in my mind, because we were sitting there when he said, no, you've got to wait 2 years, I went through all this scenario very, very quickly. And that was a long time ago. The other aspect is the arguments. What are you going to put forward? I remember, again, being a young engineer where I negotiated my CEO up from a 2% salary increase to 10%, because I put my arguments together very clearly, knew what I wanted to go in with, knew my story, my framing, the arguments I was going to have, and just put them to him in a very calm manner. And he gave me an additional 8% increase, which nobody else got. So I can do this. It's what I enjoy doing, but at the same time, you can do it. Anybody can do it. But here are the ingredients of a successful negotiation. There are many others, but these are, for me, the most fundamental ones. You have to be patient. Negotiating in a hurry, in a rush, you will often get a poor, if not bad deal, because the other person sees that you are in a hurry and they're less likely to give you what you want. So patience is a very, very important element. So even in my 45-minute negotiation with my future father-in-law, that was a reasonable time frame for various different reasons. In terms of the scenario, I knew that in 45 minutes, and even if we didn't do it there, I'd set the process in motion. So had he not agreed, I would have continued the negotiation with him another time. You need to have composure. You've got to be in self-control mode. You can't allow emotions to run high. You can't be drawn out of your skin, go crazy, go mad, thump the table, whatever it happens to be. You've got to be calm and composed, because it links to body language. The body language that the other person sees, just as you're reading theirs, they're reading yours. Now, some cultures are very, very difficult to read in terms of body language, but you look at it. Very important, eye contact. Maintain eye contact always with the or the key people. In other words, one person, or it could be 2 or 3 that are the major decision makers in that process. But maintain eye contact when you speak, as in the same way as when you're listening to what they're saying. That's very powerful. And of course, listen. Really important to listen, talk less, listen more. So these are the key ingredients for a negotiation to be successful. So as I said at the beginning, it's like, okay, you say, well, I don't know how to negotiate. I don't know what to do. How would I go about it? Well, when I started out, I didn't do as many courses as such, but I did read lots of books. I read probably about 15 or 20 well-written, well-known books, some less well-known than others, but I just wanted to get really inside the whole negotiation topic. What was the good and the bad, the effective and the less effective, the efficient, those who'd done successful deals, how did they do it, what was their success rate? So I read a lot of books. I also observed a lot of other leaders, industry leaders. So again, many of those who not necessarily have autobiographies or biographies, but industry leaders of the time who I watched, observed to see what they were doing. And of course, there is absolutely no substitute for practice. So practice, practice, practice. Because the more you practice, the easier it becomes, just like anything. There are some bad deals you'll do, some that are less successful, and you go through a process of then saying, this didn't work very well, and then analyzing why it didn't work. Maybe you weren't asking enough, maybe you weren't asking properly, maybe your expectation was low. Negotiation is a very, very big topic. It's an exciting topic. If in any way it engages you, I suggest you dive much, much deeper into negotiation. There are a lot of great books out there even today, although my books are, decades old, but the principles remain the same. But it's something that you need to do as a human being, let alone as a leader, is to negotiate, and negotiation is so much fun. So I hope this has resonated with you, helped you to understand some of the keys, but whatever it is, feel free to connect, give me feedback, and of course subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you and hearing from you again in the very near future. Thank you.